Hey, you guys asked for it, and here it is. Today we're going to take the BT-01 Toyota Supra. Got it configured right now in the front-wheel drive front motor config. We are going to switch it back as per your requests, and we're going to go front motor, rear-wheel drive, battery on the back, and see how that works.
Excellent!
Yeah, guys, wow, pretty overwhelming response. A lot of you guys were really interested in seeing that front motor rear drive configuration. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't blame you. It really is almost like a real Supra that way, isn't it? It's got a motor in the front and rear wheel drive. Totally makes sense. I didn't ever think of it that way. This configuration does not go together as easily as what I did in the last video where I was just out in the field. I went from rear wheel drive to front wheel drive. Took under 10 minutes to do. This one's a little more involved, actually quite a bit more involved. There's more pieces involved. I've already done a little bit of assembly off camera. There's an additional little plate here. We've got a longer drive shaft that we're going to have to use, some other bits and pieces for a gearbox. This is a bit more of an involved configuration, but let's get it done. And we've got some good weather out, so we're going to test it today too in this video. So first step here, guys, is to remove the front bumper and the front deck. It's pretty simple. The way unattach our motor. So that's the upper deck, guys. 6 screws, upper deck is out. So with the deck removed, now you can see what the chassis looks like. Once your upper deck is removed, you want to dismantle or disassemble the upper deck. And before I do that even, guys, I'm going to just get my electronics out of here because they're going to have to come off and go on a different deck now. Just like that. Battery's done charging. I told you we're going out after this. From there, our next step is to remove the differential. Remember, it is up front and we want to have it out the back. 2 screws, guys. It's so easy to work on this thing. I know I was giving it a bit of a hard time at first, but I'm kind of starting to fall in love with it, to be honest. So there's our differential out, and there's our drive shaft. That guy is going to be replaced with a much larger drive shaft, or prop shaft, I guess you'd call it. So now the diff is going to go in the rear of the vehicle. 2 screws for the diff cover. Now remember, we pulled the differential out this way, and since we're going from front drive to rear wheel drive, we have to rotate it 180 degrees. Now it's going to go right back in and then get our dog bones in. All right, so now we've got our differential mounted in the rear. Next step is to remove the motor mount. And remember how I keep saying 2 screws, 2 screws, 2 screws? Again, guys, look at this, just bam, bam, 2 screws. And on top of that, all of these screws, like 95% of the screws in this kit are the exact same screw. They're all this guy, 8 mil long, I think it is. But they're all the same screw. Almost every screw in here is that screw. So you can't even screw that up, no pun intended. 2 screws, motor, and transmission is out. Should we replace the motor while we're here? Yeah, we should probably replace the motor while we're here. This thing was not fast. And I don't really need it to be screaming fast, but I'd like it to have a little performance. Look at all those poor souls looking for a new home. Lots of 540s. 13 turn. Oof, might be a bit too hot. 80 turn. Might be a little too slow. Oh, here we go. Tuned machine modified. 21 turn. That is an O-Star. And right there, 21 turn. The motor is out, so we're going to take this gear case off. Gear cover off, sorry. Now with the motor out, the next step is to get our spur gear out, and it's held in a kind of a clever little way. And why we have to do all this, guys, is because we have this shaft that is going to need to be replaced with a much longer shaft. And I know some of you guys are noticing I'm still rocking the bushings in there. I'm sorry. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this kit, so I didn't want to invest more money into upgrades if I wasn't going to be all in on this kit. I'm all in on this kit, so we're going to order up some upgrades today as well. So with the longer shaft now on the spur gear is going to go right back in. Take our drive pin goes back on. Easy peasy. Make me look like I know what I'm doing on the internet. She's a tuned machine, boys and girls. We are now switching to a 2-piece gear cover. Don't ask me why. It's just what we're doing. I love the fact that it's virtually the exact same screw everywhere you go. You can't mess it up. If you get the chance, check out Rex's RCs. He's got one of these. He's done an awesome review on his, and even took his to a local indoor carpet track. And he tried all 3 different variations on it. He said he liked the setup the best. So you know what? Who might argue? let's give it a whirl. They gave us one lonesome ball bearing. So he's going to go right in here. He's going to drop right into this new case. Then we have a shim, and then we have this little spring. And that's the biggest reason why I did not want to do this outside in the field, because I just know that spring would go flying and I'd lose it. So with the new drive shaft in place, we're going to take our gearbox and do one of these. But that just sits in like that. Always a good idea to hand tighten at the very end. Now we've got to put our front bumper on. Remember, this is now the front of the car. And just a quick thank you to all the viewers that put down all these great comments, giving me a lot of good advice on how to reduce some of the slop on this kit. Some of the parts that were mentioned, I didn't even know existed. So thanks so much, guys. So now we're going to take our new plate, which I built off camera a few minutes ago, just before I started filming. You go like that. So our new upper deck is on. That was pretty simple. Let's take our servo. This part here, this new part that we're adding, is going to be our new battery holder. Looks completely different in this configuration. Looks a lot kind of more stout, more beefy. In this configuration, there isn't quite as much room for your electronics. So having a smaller ESC is going to be more beneficial. That's my speed control right there. And there is a lot of overhang on that guy. So next we're going to take that E2 part along with the battery clip, and we are just going to fix them to the battery tray. So here's another part of this chassis that I find just really quite ingenious. So now we've got our battery tray sitting up top, and you can see how high it's sitting, positioned high above the rear wheels. This is supposed to provide more traction to the rear of the car. And by the look of it, you can tell this is going to fit your conventional sort of LiPo battery pack. Now there's also a second little battery compartment right in here, just above that drive shaft. Now I can pull this piece out. I can fit a small LiPo in here, drop that back in, and I can run a small LiPo battery if I wanted to keep my weight down. How the Tamiya designers managed to get all of this functionality into such a small chassis it's absolutely mind-boggling. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed at the design of this. So here I'm going to install this 5,000 milliamp Gens Ace battery pack. It's a 2S LiPo with 5,000 milliamp capacity, so it's a good size pack, hard case. Guys, look at that. Man, that fits absolutely perfect. Man, that's crazy. There's so much weight over the rear wheels. Now, the weight is up high. Is that going to make it want to roll over more? I don't know. We got a motor and a servo up front to offset either side of the chassis with weight. Maybe I crapped on this setup a little prematurely. This actually looks really cool. I think it might perform well. Okay, you know what? I'm done in here. Let's get this thing out for some testing. That building look familiar to anyone? Bueller? Let's see, I'll get a little zoom in. How about now? Does that look familiar to you guys? Think X-Men. That's right. We are at Royal Roads University, where they filmed the X-Men movies, right? That's X-Men University?
X-Men University.
XU?
Something like that, yeah.
XU. What you got there, wife of mine? What's going on here? Oh, there.
A little bit of a lunchbox.
Oh, lunchbox. We just ate lunch though. Look at this spot, eh? Look at that lunchbox just going. The most fun RC, CW01. The new 21 turn motor in here, front motor, rear wheel drive, battery up high, 2S LiPo. And just for funsies, I may have brought a 3S LiPo, just to see. Pretty cool guy.
That thing is bright and awesome.
It is bright, isn't it? Well, that's pretty cool. What do you guys think? How does this thing look to you? Let's see if we can get her to track straight in this line, kind of like we were doing on the Mossy Crack in the last video. Definitely seems to be a little more, like a little less kind of unpredictable. I love the fact that I can do those skid turns now. That's awesome. This 21 turn motor is a nice choice. If anyone's thinking of throwing in like a super stock BZ or super stock RZ or something, that'd be, I think, a really nice fit in this chassis. Overall, I'm gonna say first impressions are that it's definitely different than the other two. It's definitely different than the front wheel drive and the rear wheel drive rear motor. You can see how the body rolls like that. Look at the body roll. And I'm not complaining about that. I like it. I think it looks cool, makes it look a little bit more scale. And I'm still running the factory, or not factory, but the kit provided friction shocks, which are really soft. Once you go for this configuration, you've added a little more plastic to the chassis, so it's gonna weigh a little bit more. And with the battery up high, it just feels like it weighs more now, and you can really see all that body roll as I kind of slalom around. Come at you guys. Half throttle, 3/4. Diffing out quite a bit. So with the added power and the added setup, new suspension is definitely required. Full throttle, off the gas, turn. Whoopa. Off the throttle, into the turn, on the throttle. Off, in, on the gas, out. Turns pretty nice. Off the throttle, roll in, on the gas, out. Just like driving a real car. Trying to avoid all the goose poop everywhere. Yeah, I'd say the only downside of this setup is, again, the battery being so high, it really has a lot more body roll now, which I really like the way that works. I mean, the way it transfers weight from, you know, from that higher level over to the outer wheels through a turn and stuff. That's cool. I mean, you want that, don't you? Just the suspension's not tuned for it. Again, I don't have any wheel foams in, not set up the best for it, but I will say that I think of the 3 setups that we've done with this chassis now, we'll call it the driver's configuration, because if you're a sports car enthusiast, you love that front motor, rear wheel drive, this feels like you're driving a real car with front motor, rear wheel drive, and way too much horsepower. Kind of gives me some Firebird vibes. Reminds me of driving my Firebird. I've got a 1994 Pontiac Firebird with a 383 stroker V8 in it. And it drives like this thing, you know? It goes like stink, and you go to turn, you kind of, and this drives just like it. It's pretty cool. We may or may not have brought a 3S pack. This, let's just say this motor probably doesn't want me running a lot of 3S in it, if any at all, but we're going to. 3,300 milliamps. Wait for the beeps. Oh yeah. Smells like bad breath.
Could be the poop.
Oh, there we go. Now she's alive. Oh, that is so cool. Whoa, spun out. Oh, did you see that? Did you see how the back end started getting all squirrely? That may be because of the goose poop, the rain, or the Tamiya slop, or maybe a combination of all 3. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Why is that tire way out like that?
Oh, they're off.
That's what 3S will do. Especially if you don't glue your tires. That's what that smell is too. It's all the goose crap we're running through. Look at it all. Oh, what a crappy chassis. So on 3S, make sure you glue your wheels. Full throttle punch.
Oh, your tire went.
So can't be doing those. Fire off again. Whoa, yep, there it goes. Well, 3S was a lot of fun with that 21 turn, but as you can see, what's the carnage? What's the damage report, babe?
A lot of poop.
A lot of
Lost
poop.
tires.
Well, guys, to summarize, I'm going to tell you, I love it. I love this setup. I know I said it once before. I'm going to say it again in summary. This is the setup. Let me get these things off. I'm so happy you guys asked me to go for this, because I'd totally written it off thinking it just sounded completely goofy. But now after trying it, I'm loving it. This drives like a real muscle car. It's so cool. Inexpensive chassis, tons of fun. I think if you're gonna go with this setup, make sure you get some good bearings. I mean, that goes standard, right? Make sure you get some good bearings. I think this setup is where the kit supplied friction shocks become obsolete, and you're gonna have to get something with a little more adjustment, a little more tunability, because you got a lot of weight over this back end now, and actually quite a bit of weight over the front end. It's a really well balanced but heavy kind of setup. But yeah, thanks again everyone for all the suggestions, because I never would have thought that this would have been the one that's the most enjoyable, but it definitely is. So if you're gonna grab one of these again, guys, I'll throw some coupon codes down below in the description box. Make sure to check that out. Eliminator RC, they got lots of inventory. Check them out as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, be excellent to each other. Hi, beautiful wife of mine. Is there anything you'd like to say to all the wonderful people on YouTube land?
Like, share, subscribe.
Smash that like button.